now who raise their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. We're having our asses handed to us by China because
they make our asses for us.
Because they make all our asses now in China. Why? Because billionaires like you control our government, which gave a tax break for other billionaires to send our jobs over to China to make our asses.
He's talking about our Sputnik moment. They didn't ship the jobs out to foreigners.
That's right.
Look what he's saying.
So here we go. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper. This can be our Sputnik moment. What?
Oh, the Soviets brought Indians in for that.
We've awakened from a slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. So is this golden era, it's going to be all through tech people being imported from India?
It's going to be low. Oh, we're going to get a universal basic income. We're going to get the same deal as the other thing?
Oh, it's the same thing. So a culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. I thought we did have Steve Jobs. I thought Steve Jobs invented Apple and the iPhone and all that stuff. I thought we had Bill Gates. I thought, what are you effing talking about?
Oh, globally competitive is really, you can ignore all the rest of this crap except for the one thing about being globally competitive.
Yes.
And I have friends from way back who are in tech. They all say the same thing. A, they don't care about America. They're a global citizen. B, Americans want too much money to do not enough work when I could get an Indian on Fiverr to do whatever.
That's exactly right.
Fiverr's kind of new, but let's cut the shit, Vivek, because even my mediocre mind can handle this. What do you want to pay for the job?
That's right.
Because the only thing that matters is the money you're fucking paying.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So let me finish this is him tweeting this out. That's the work we have cut out for us. The work we have cut out for us, you mean importing cheaper high-tech labor so you could suppress the labor, just like they're importing cheaper truck drivers. They're doing that right now. Joe Biden's doing that on his way out, and on your way in, you want to import cheaper tech workers. That's exactly what this is about. Tesla hired almost 800 foreign tech workers. That's in 1 year alone. 1 year alone. That's 800 tech workers that could be American. That's the work we have cut out for us. Rather than wallowing in victimhood, just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence, I'm confident we can do it. No, you're going to legislate hiring practices that benefit you and Tesla, meaning so you're doing the exact thing you're claiming that you don't want to do and that other people shouldn't do. That's exactly what you're doing. You're using the HV1 visa, the HV1 programmers to come in and suppress the wages. That's what this is all about. And if we don't have enough high-tech people, we should spend some money of our trillions of dollars we're spending every year on bombs and wars. And how about we spend it educating our own goddamn people? Oh, it's because it's not about that. It's about suppressing their wages. That's what it's about. And here, Elon Musk says, maybe this is helpful. Clarification, I'm referring to bringing in via legal immigration. Yeah, because you get to set what the laws are for immigration. So you just say it's legal. The top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning. You know that's not what he's talking about.
Oh, is that came up with the sharpened doors on the Tesla truck?
Yeah.
You cut your dick off with?
This is like being Jokic's or Wemby's of the world to bringing in the best talent in the world to help your team, which is mostly Americans, win the NBA. So he's saying, look how the NBA does it. They bring in foreigners to help their whole. Okay. It's such a horrible analogy. Thinking of America as a pro sports team that has been winning for a long time and wants to keep winning is the right mental construct.
Okay, wait.
You act like they haven't been doing this anyway. We just showed you that in 2023, Tesla used the H-1B visa program to bring in almost 800 high-tech workers. Go ahead. You want to say something,
Do
Kurt?
they pay So when they bring people in the NBA, those foreign that
They pay them
1%.
Yeah,
Are they paying them illegal people wages?
Yeah,
I don't think they are.
That's right. They're not. That's exactly great point, Kurt. They're not paying those guys from foreign countries who play in the NBA less than American stars.
But they're globally competitive somehow.
Yeah. So here's what the Autism Capital says. So basically, the right split into. So this was a big fight, and there's a whole big Laura Loomer thread to this. I'm going to get to in another segment. It's unbelievable. So she's calling this out. And Elon Musk took her blue check away, took all her followers away, and basically is censoring her. So they like free speech as long as you don't say shit about them. So
everybody wants to be the new Israel, huh?
So basically, Autism Capital says, so basically the right split into two factions, tech right and right. And the tech right is like, hey, we need H-1B visa people to do the jobs. And the right was like, no, you need to hire Americans. And the tech right is like, you guys are retarded. And the right is like, well, you don't train us. And the tech right is like, you can't out-train being retarded. And while all this was going on, we learned some people really don't like Indians. He says that pretty much sums it up. That's Elon Musk.
Yeah, they're called Indians. You ever hear of the caste system? What do you think's coming over here for the tech jobs? The poor Indians?
So this guy says... Elon just told white Americans they are too dumb to work in STEM, so he's forced to hire Indians and Asians. Remember, he's not American. He has no lineage or allegiance to this country. He is here to extract the wealth, nothing more. That has 128,000 likes and almost 4 million views when I grabbed this. So that's the right. That's the right. So in one sense, this is a good thing because they're having this out in the open, and MAGA gets to see exactly what they bought.
Yeah, right.
They get to see exactly. They bought a couple of fucking billionaires who don't give a shit about you or your workers. In fact, they want to import workers so they could get them cheaper, and they shit on your culture to do it. Too foreign. I think Vivek he's born here, right?
Yes, his parents are immigrants.
But he's first generation. And Ann Coulter, God damn it, I wish I had that video of her saying, I'll never vote for Vivek because I won't vote for an Indian for president, which she said that in my head. But here's Elon. Now he's...
You knew she banged Dinesh.
Yes, he's from South Africa.
Feeling about what she said now.
Yeah, so Elon's from South Africa.
Yeah.
So here's what Due Dissident says. Notice Vivek has essentially the same contempt for American culture as the Davos people. To the billionaire class are all useless eaters. We exist only to serve them. To Elon, Vivek, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, we're all the same. And to us, they should be all the same.
I like him mentioning China a lot, because that's India's enemy. So I like when rich billionaires with ties to foreign countries want to drag us into their competitions.
Uh-huh.
Because obviously China's not competition. They make our viruses and our stuff.
So I'm gonna show you that Vivek Ramaswamy is full of shit. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to bring in Eric Weinstein, who I invited on the show today to come explain this to us. But he's a very busy man, and he couldn't make it. I get it. He retweets him, and he says, "I love this," meaning he doesn't really love this. He says, "I love this. Do you want to fill an entire stadium debating this with me? I'm so game," meaning let's debate this, Vivek. If that's what you really think is happening, if you really think it's our culture and we need to import. So now they're saying we need to import unskilled labor, right? So they could work our farms and drive our trucks and work our construction. Because we're not making enough babies. That's what Bill Clinton says. And that's what all the billionaires say. We're not making enough babies. So we got to bring in all this labor. Even though the income inequality is unbelievable right now, even though workers have the smallest piece of the pie they've had since the time of the pharaohs. This is worse than the Gilded Age, what's happening right now with workers in America, and they want to import even cheaper labor because Americans, well, they're not willing to do those jobs. Of course they are. Americans are willing to do, they'll do any job as long as they're paid. But what you want to do is bring in basically slave labor to work our farms, construction, all that stuff, because then they can't unionize, and you could always have the threat of kicking them out of the country. And then you get them cheap, and they can't organize. And that's exactly what's going on, because unions are starting to get their legs back again in America, and they're starting to organize. And immediately the billionaires opened the border and flooded the country with cheap, desperate labor. And so now we're fighting amongst each other instead of joining together to fight against billionaires like Elon, Vivek. So he says, we don't know each other, meaning Eric and Vivek. I'm a U.S.-born STEM PhD with some background in this issue in the sciences. Dance with me. Meaning, come on, let's debate this. You want to debate it? He does not want to debate it. You know why? Well, here, I'll show you. Spoiler alert, skilled immigration is a political football. It is an evil system designed by a conspiracy from our science complex that brings us great people to displace our own great people, which is supported by great people and fought by great people. All the major voices I see on this so far are some superposition of wrong and not wrong. Note to my friends with the incoming administration, it will tear you apart if you don't know where it came from and what it is designed to do. Word to the wise, it is designed to tear good people apart. Don't fall for it. He's trying to warn Vivek. He's trying to warn Elon, don't fall for this bullshit, and don't import high-tech workers. Don't do it. This is a scam. This is a conspiracy brought to you by what? A cabal of rich people. And here, and how do I know it? He wrote a paper on it. This is the paper that he wrote. How and why government, universities, and industry create domestic labor shortages of scientists and high-tech workers. By who? Eric Weinstein. And he's one of the smartest PhD tech guys in the world, and he's born right here in the United States.
And he's very pro-capitalist. People might criticize him about that, but he's telling, that's a thing that anybody that knows anything about academia knows they've done for years. And like, people are fighting over getting into schools because it's just like real estate, it's mostly foreign ownership. Then you're going to watch right-wingers complain about spying from China.
Right.
You think they did it in a balloon? No.
So our friend Apple Lamps, he summarized this paper. So this paper, which is very long, he summarized it for us. He said, Weinstein argues that long-term labor shortages in market economies are not natural, but are created when employers or government agencies interfere with the wage mechanism. He cites Michael S. Teitelbaum's 1990 testimony, which suggests that claims of labor shortages are often cries for labor subsidies to avoid market-driven wage increases. It's all about money. It's all about suppressing wages by the billionaire class. The 1990s and the flooded market for the scientists and engineers. The 1990s saw a glut in the market for scientists and engineers, largely due to an increase in foreign students and postdoctoral researchers. This influx allowed employers to save on labor costs by decreasing wages and benefits. The Immigration Act of 1990 was passed in response to predictions by the National Science Foundation of a looming shortage of scientists and engineers. However, these predictions were later found out to be bullshit.
Oh, you don't say.
And the act led to a surge in immigration, further flooding the market. The NSF scarcity projections. So the NSF's projections were criticized for focusing solely on the supply side of the labor market without considering demand. This approach was seen as flawed by many economists and labor market experts.
Who sponsors them? Who's the sponsor of the National Science Foundation? How much you want to bet it's a billionaire you've heard of?
That's right. And somebody, maybe Andreessen. Who knows? Who knows? The NSF's real shortage study. Internal NSF documents revealed that the real concern was not a shortage, but the potential for rising wages. The NSF
collusion again.
This sounds like a conspiracy. Sounds like a collusion.
Price fixing.
Sounds like price fixing and a scam to screw American workers. The most educated American workers. Isn't that
They're
something?
all workers. It's not just the people.
Doesn't
right
matter.
down the chain. That really is something.
Doesn't matter how educated you are. You're all just a cog in a wheel to the machine. Okay, so the NSF sought to suppress wage increases by encouraging the influx of foreign students and workers. The three traditional policy level stakeholders, government, university, and the industry. These stakeholders, rather than competing independently, often collaborated to control the labor market. The Government University Industry Roundtable, GUIR, was formed to address shared interests, often at the expense of domestic workers. So they're all guess exactly what I've told you. Jimmy, when do the people who really run things, when they have their secret meetings? It's not a secret. They're having the meetings right out in the open. One of the big meetings is called a session of Congress, when they get together with all these people and write laws to screw you, meaning American workers. So there it is.
Korea don't get paid too good. How come they're not ruling the world?
The Government University Industry Roundtable.
Oh,
Isn't that something? Further irregularities. The NSF's Policy Research and Analysis Division, PRA, was accused of suppressing internal criticism and manipulating data to support the narrative of a labor shortage. Sounds like big pharma is running the NSF, right? Conclusion. The scientists or knowledge worker as forgotten stakeholders. The paper concludes that the interests of working scientists and knowledge workers were often overlooked in favor of the agendas of government, universities, and industry. And let's remember, government works for industry. So it's really just industry and universities who are funded by industry and government, which exactly, it's one big circle jerk. So it's really just one entity. This had led to a collapse in the market for junior scientists and a breach of their social contract between young scientists and their employers. Weinstein's analysis suggests that the alleged shortages of scientists and high-tech workers were artificially created to suppress wages and labor costs, benefiting who? Employers at the expense of domestic workers and the broader economy. So screw the workers, screw the economy of the United States, because these people are not loyal to a country. This is from Network in 1974. There are no countries. There are no citizens. There are only corporations and the international transfer of dollars. These companies and corporations and billionaires and governments are not loyal to their countries. They're loyal to their economic owners and economic interests, which have no borders. Bill Gates doesn't give it. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, they do not give a shit about the United States. They give a shit about corporate profits. So anyway, so just one last, this is just a quip from that Newsweek article. Musk's approach to immigration, effectively a hardline stance on illegal immigration combined with a liberal view of letting in high-skilled foreign workers, is at odds with the cultural and economic protectionism espoused by those in the MAGA movement, including Stephen Miller, who was in Trump's first White House, who is set to return to the White House with his own restrictionist immigration policies in hand. So hopefully there'll be a big fight and Stephen Miller will win this fight over Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And Vivek Ramaswamy is not going to debate Eric Weinstein. And if he does, get a box of popcorn, because it's going to be good. Because Eric Weinstein is not a scammer. He didn't make his money off doing a pump and dump stock scheme by pretending he had a cure for Alzheimer's, which is what Vivek Ramaswamy did. You know that story, right?
Biotech is like a real kind of crypto, huh?
Yeah.
He really doged that one.
So that's what's happening right now. Yeah. So that's what's happening right now. And this would never happen if a Democrat was elected. The Democrats didn't say shit about Joe Biden doing this to truck drivers on his way out.
What he
No,
do
it's
to the
amazing.
railroad
Each
workers.
What he did to the railroad workers, what he's doing to the truck drivers. This is what the Democrats are doing. And there's no Democrat movement. Bernie Sanders didn't get his followers. AOC didn't get her 12 million Twitter followers to put pressure on Joe Biden to stop doing. No, nothing. No discussion. Democrats are a cult. And at least right now, the MAGA movement is not. The MAGA movement is actually stepping up and holding Donald Trump and his cabinet feet to the fire on something that's important. So I think this is actually great, and I think that we're gonna talk about what Elon Musk did to Laura Loomer right now, but because he cut off her free speech, he's screwing her over. That's how they react. If you get a little power, that's how billionaires react. They try to shut you down, just like Bill Gates wanted to shut you down, just like Big Pharma wanted to shut you down, Moderna, Pfizer, and they did it through the FBI. They did it through because they own the government, the deep state. They're in bed with big tech. They're in bed with Big Pharma. They're in bed with the war machine and Wall Street, and they don't work for the president. We already found that out because Chuck Schumer told us that. The deep state works for who? He won't tell us, but he told us that they don't work for the president. We know that. You thought the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, you thought they all work for the president. They don't. They work for someone else. They work for people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and Jeff Bezos and Peter Thiel and Bill Gates and a handful of banking interests. That's who they really work for. All, of course, in Israel. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. This is exciting. I think it's good. This is like the MAGA people are pushing back hard, and I think it's great.
Again, China's going to hand us our ass. Now, how is that possible when China has been not only, I would say, isolationist, Jimmy, of not letting immigrants come in, right? They're,
how
the
can
CCP is a communist government, but they're about to eat our ass. They're about to
hand us our ass. Yeah, that's
How did
right.
they get so far?
That's right. They don't. So their culture produces. So they don't have sitcoms. I guess is that. So he's saying that the communist China culture is far superior than the United States culture since the 80s. So that's I don't know. Is that 40 years ago? Is that how long ago that was?
I don't know. Whenever they first kicked off the idea of destroying America for world government, when they started investing heavily in China, China doesn't have. You'll hear bullshit like, "Oh, China's about to collapse because they don't have enough immigration."
Yeah.
I think they're sending Chinese here, aren't they?
So
India wants that sweet nectar.
So they're going to send. So China's going to hand us our ass, but they're going to do it without immigrants. They're going to do it without.
No. As communists?
As communists. So communists are going to hand us our ass.
It seems like it's really competitive. I don't understand this.
Because they're right. How would communists have a more competitive economy than the United States capitalists? How could that possibly be, Vivek? Or is this just a bunch of billionaires trying to use the laws and rig the system so they can suppress our wages because they don't actually give a shit about this country? That's what it seems like to me, and that's what it seems like to MAGA. And I say, go MAGA.
You know what the Chinese economy, like their big problem was back when I was out there, was all the Chinese people, they had a real estate boom and everybody had invested in real estate, like regular people there. And it makes me laugh because I'm like, who the hell here could afford to invest in real estate that isn't a millionaire?
Right.
Or a billionaire? Like the communist country, the kind of problems they have are, I bought this property and now it might, like, that doesn't even come up here.
Well, this point of view of Vivek and Elon, that's not going to rebuild the middle class. That's going to, the middle class is going to disappear.
They're not out there saying, hey, let's invest in our education system and educate our people so we can be That's not what they're saying. They're not saying that at all. They're not saying, if they were, they could be saying both things. Let's say, hey, let's invest in education and hire our own people. But in the short term, we'll let in a few of these people. That's not what they're saying. Their answer is to just let these people in and suppress our wages. And Eric Weinstein sniffed those guys out a long time ago.
Yeah, if you get caught up in the stupid race identity, which is amazing for Vivek to be bringing that up, amazing. Because Laura Loomer, in fairness, did she shouldn't be taken off Twitter. She said a moronic thing about America's white European. I don't care if she said that. That's a distraction from the issue, which is they want your money lowered. So forget all the identity bullshit and getting hung up on that. It's always been a distraction from people naturally come together about getting paid. People of all races.
Yeah,
it's really astonishing.
Always.
But so how do you split them up? You have to come up with some primal bullshit every time where it's like everybody versus the other color. It really ain't about Indians or nothing. Hey, okay, how about this, Vivek? You can bring in all the top Indian talent. You got to pay them as if they were born here. How about that?
How about that?
I bet the interest will dry up.
Then I guess we'd be able to find some engineers here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Over to Steph. Can you go into the guest house and on the book? What's that?
Why don't I